Hey, 7-Footers crew, we are back with our last segment of the day, Hot Topics, which brings you all the hottest topics from the past week in the NBA. So let's get started. Let's start on a positive note. David Fizdale gets another job, right?
Congrats.
Right? Gets another job. He is the official New York Knicks head coach, and he actually sat down on Get Up today with Jalen Rose, and he said, quote unquote, he wants people to fear coming to the Garden again.
Wow.
And it shouldn't be like other teams are coming to a theatrical show in New York City. He wants people to fear coming into the Garden. What are our thoughts? Tell me everything, Jarod.
Well,
open up the floor here.
I'll tell you what. They're going to fear that roster in New York. I'll tell you that right now.
Wow, starting with the shots.
Look, I think Fizdale's a good coach.
Yeah.
Hopefully he learned from some of the stuff that went down in Memphis.
Which, in my opinion, I'm sorry you shouldn't have lost this job.
Listen.
Memphis has a lot more problems than David.
They do, and, Marc Gasol was part of the problem there, but we're not going to get into that. But look, coaches learn, they get better. I think Fizdale's a good guy. I think he's a good coach. I'm curious to see what he does. But here's really what matters when it comes to coaching in the NBA. What is his ownership and general manager structure like?
What is the relationship?
Owner, GM, coach. That has got to be a nice symbiotic relationship. Mm-hmm. The best teams in the league, it works well. Look at Golden State. Even as dysfunctional as Cleveland is, there's some level of cohesion there. Yeah. But they also have the greatest player in the world, so that makes up for any the deficiencies that they have, right? You look at Dallas, even though they're not playing well right now. Cuban, Carlisle,
good relationship.
You've got to have a nice relationship between owner, front office, and head coach. How much is owner James Dolan and yes man GM Steve Mills going to allow Fizdale to do?
Well,
that's the question. So if I'm a Knicks fan, this is what I'm concerned about. Okay, I like the Fizdale hire. Are they going to let me do what I want from a cultural standpoint? Is Steve Mills actually a GM with any real power? Or is James Dolan still going to be meddling and doing his thing behind the scenes?
We obviously have to wait and see what happens. But David Fizdale seems like after everything he went through in Memphis, I don't think he would take a job where he thought he would be, in another terrible situation.
Look, I hope not.
Yeah. And everybody wants to see him prosper.
I joked about the roster, but look, Porzingis is good. He's coming off injury, so hopefully he comes back and he improves. Frankie Ntilikina, listen, they've got guys. Moutier. Look, there is talent on that roster. There are some contracts and some situations that they need to get up from under. Tim Hardaway Jr. But it is what it is. The other question is, how are they going to draft? What are they going to do in free agency? I think this is going to be a very big free agent summer. Yes, none of the big names, but LeBron could move. I don't think he will, but that's a conversation for a different day. I don't think any of the big names are going to move, but there are a lot of other good guys that could be some possibilities. What do the Knicks do there? Because look, you're making the right move here or there. Fizdale coaches them up. I don't know. They stay healthy. Stranger things can happen. But look, I'm so conditioned being in this area, being from New York, to not hold my breath that they're going to do anything outstanding. I wish David Fizdale the best. We 7-Footers, we hope you do well, David.
Yes, we do love David.
But we'll see. It's wait and see at this point.
And speaking of hiring and firing, our hot topic number 2, I think you guys could have guessed this one this week. Stan Van Gundy is out in Detroit. Yeah. Now let me just lay down the groundwork before I ask you what is next for him. We bring in Stan Van Gundy, right? We want him to make the Pistons contenders in the Eastern Conference. Well, 4 years later, we see one playoff appearance and 0 wins.
Yeah.
What's next for Stan Van Gundy?
He's going to join the booth with his brother Jeff on ABC on the ABC broadcast is what I think. No, I don't know. Look, what I think we're seeing is this idea of the coach-GM hybrid role that's going by the wayside. It's very hard to do that.
I don't even agree with it.
Those are 2 separate jobs.
Exactly.
You can't do both.
Do that? Yeah.
You can't.
No.
It's very hard. And a lot of those titles are being stripped away. I know Thibodeau has that currently in Minnesota, but we see how well that's working out this year. Not great. Because a GM's job is very different than a coach's job. Yes, there's connection and symbiosis there, but you've got to be out scouting. You've got to be, and yes, there's scouting departments, and I get all that,
but you need to see it with your own
and you've got to have the intricacies of the salary cap. And how are you worried about that when you're day-to-day game planning for an NBA season and the playoffs? And well, not in Stan's case, no playoffs. But it's very difficult to do both. And Detroit, sorry, but Stan's gone, but you got that rest of that Blake Griffin contract on the books. Yikes! That contract is a monster. And Blake, who has not been able to be healthy, and he's shown that throughout his career, what's that contract going to look like? 2 years, a year from now, 2 years from now? I mean, they're in a world of trouble out in Detroit, and I just don't know where they go from here.
No.
I really don't.
I don't even have
that job's not even attractive. Who wants it?
I don't even have one good guess as to where we go.
I should take that back. People want it because there are only 30 NBA jobs. So yes, someone will take it.
Yes, but does their blood pressure want it?
It's going to be an uphill battle for whoever is the new coach and the new GM at that organization.
Exactly, and I think that's enough of Stan Van Gundy talk because nobody knows where he's going.
No.
So let's talk about it here on a lighter note.
Yeah.
Becky Hammon.
Yes.
Love her. Interviewing to be an NBA coach.
Yes.
For the Bucks.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I love it. Look, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt going around the last few days about should Becky have gotten an interview, what's the reasoning, all that. Amin Elhassan from ESPN, had some thoughts, and I'm one to I agree with what Amin's point was. There's no problem with Becky getting an interview. That's great. I think what people need to understand is, how do you know that Becky Hammon is going to be a good NBA head coach? Becky Hammon currently is what they call a second row assistant coach, right? So there's a first row of coaches, and there's that second row of coaches, right? Which is more player development, right? Warming the guys up pre-game, doing that sort of thing. Now, does she sit in on meetings and game plans and all that? Yes. But she hasn't quite got to the point yet where she is actually fully involved with the day-to-day game planning that a first row assistant is.
Thrown into the fire.
Right, yes. Did she coach Summer League? Yes. Summer League is not NBA regular season.
Summer League is like a trip to the park.
Summer League,
like the playground, not the amusement park.
Summer League, very different.
The playground.
So I think everyone who's up in arms and outraged that if she doesn't get this job, it's more, calm down.
Yeah.
The fact that she's getting an interview, I think, is huge.
Incredible.
And going to move the needle forward. And here's what, honestly, I think is going to end up happening. We know that one of the Spurs assistants just got the head job in Orlando. So if he gets that job, he may take Becky with him to Orlando, which will then move her to the front row. Now she's involved in game planning and that sort of thing. And then she does that for a few years. When she interviews again for a head coaching job, which she will, then possibly she'll get it.
Well, a lot of people with Becky throw in the woman card. What can happen as a result if she doesn't get it, or if she doesn't get an interview and this and that. And as a woman myself, I get that. But like you said, it comes down to it. Can you be an NBA coach? And the facts that you're spitting out, it's true. Let her move to the front row. Give her a couple years right in the cutthroat pain of it. And then re-interview. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying for that side of the argument. You know what I mean? And as LeBron once said too, of course I'm quoting LeBron, if you know the game, do it.
That's
Man or woman. Man or woman.
She does know her basketball.
Yes.
Right? No
doubt about it.
But again,
San Antonio Stars.
Exactly. We need to see her do it now in the fire.
Yes.
Right? There's a difference. And again, shout out to Amin Elhassan from ESPN. For those of you caping for women, saying who has experience, if you're that concerned about women getting a job as a head coach in the NBA, what are your thoughts about Nancy Lieberman? If anyone should be a head coach in the NBA as a woman right now, who's already had coaching experience, who coached in the G League, it should be Nancy Lieberman, right? So I think it's just a rallying point for people to sometimes just go nuts and say, if she doesn't get it, it's because of this. Let's not think everything's a larger conspiracy. I think Becky Hammon will be an NBA head coach someday.
One day, I think she will.
And I think if she continues on the trajectory that she's on right now, she will prove herself worthy of it. and hopefully she does well.
Absolutely.
And 7-footers, we're rooting for her. So
exactly.
We
I
hope
was
it
just
works
going to
out.
say that. Becky, we are rooting for you.
We are rooting for her.
And lastly, just to throw in another note, the NBA, a lot of people don't know this, but they are doing a basketball, I'm not using the correct terminology, but they're doing a basketball association program where they actually take retired players and they put them out into the league and to get them jobs and to transition them into real life. So like people should definitely look into that and see what the NBA is doing to transition these players into, you know, their post careers, into having corporate jobs. I think it's incredible what they're doing, and kudos to everybody on that end.
Well, one of the reasons we love the association, right, and why we think it's the best league in the world, just because
Hands down.
Commissioner Silver, Adam does a great job. They're so forward thinking. I mean, it's just an amazing league. And they do great stuff. Very
far ahead of the other leagues, ahead of the times,
for sure.
And obviously you could tell we're obsessed, which is why we're here.
That's why we're here.
So let's move on. Another hot topic, and this is honestly one of my not favorite topics because I don't cheer it on, but it is something that needs to be talked about more. Fans in the NBA stands heckling players. We've had Russell Westbrook speak out about it.
Right.
Fans are yelling about their families. What gives fans the nerve to do that? To do that to other people when they wouldn't walk up to you on the street and do it to you on the street?
Definitely not. Well, here's sort of where we are with that, right? There's this sort of belief that fans have that because they paid money for a ticket, that they now have the right to say whatever they want to say to players. And my thing is, fans can yell and heckle and do whatever they want to do, but do not go and cross that line and talk about players' families and
call
get
them
personal.
Names and
uncalled for.
Yeah.
You want to root for your team. You want to say that Russell, you stink your free throw. Fine.
That's fine.
Knock yourself out. And Russell will tell you he doesn't care what you say about him. Like, that's fine. But there's a level and a line that these guys cross sometimes. A lot of these fans do, and it's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. And again, that ticket doesn't give you a right to do whatever it is that you want to do. And again, I say this all the time. I tweet this often. Trust me. You guys think you're all big and bad. You don't want it with any of these NBA players. Trust me when I tell you.
Walk up to LeBron on the street.
As someone who's been in NBA locker rooms and who's seen these guys, you want no parts of these people. Trust me when I tell you, okay?
He actually wrote that on our preview notes.
I did, on our show notes.
I was like, what don't they want? I was like, tell me.
You don't want it. Even the smallest NBA guy, I'm thinking back to last season when IT was on the Celtics and it was during a regular season game. And he's on the bench, and you know the front row fans, they're right behind the bench.
Yeah.
And there was a fan 3 or 4 rows behind us, really giving him the business.
I think I remember this.
And I-Team turned around, and he said something that I'm going to change his language a little bit. He basically said, "You know I will end you." He said it much more colorfully than that. We can't go there. This is a family show, but you don't want it. No. And even 5'9" IT. Trust me, I've seen him up close too. You don't want it with him either, okay? Like, you need to remember and just be a human being, right? You wouldn't walk up to a random person on the street and cuss them out and start talking about their family and their moms. You wouldn't do that.
No.
Because someone would punch you in the face. So when you go to a game, cheer your team on, have a good time, tell them they stink, whatever, just don't cross that line.
Yeah, be respectful. I mean, I think we'll hear more about this talk, you know, as the league goes on and, you know, we see the behavior of fans and how much the players continue to speak out. Because now that the players are speaking out, it's becoming a real conversation.
And you get close to these guys, and because I've seen it. You know, fans think, oh, I can touch them. Like, don't put your hands on them. Just don't.
No.
Like, just leave them be.
You put your hands on anybody.
Like, why are you touching people? Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And last but not least, the exciting times in our life. The NBA draft lottery is coming up.
Next Tuesday.
How exciting.
It's awesome.
We have the draft on the 21st of June.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be previewing that, talking all about that. How are you feeling going into the lottery?
I love the draft lottery. It's exciting because that's the moment where teams have hope. Right? It's like, oh my God, the ping pong balls are popping. I might do something great. We can get the #1 pick. And then those hopes are quickly dashed. A, when you don't win the lottery, and B, when your organization does something stupid. You know, we have the Phoenix Suns right now, I think, as as the highest odds of getting the #1 pick. Look, if I'm a Suns fan, I have no hope that your front office is going to do the right thing and draft correctly. I mean, maybe they might.
Hey, there's a first time for everything.
I doubt it, but I will say this. It is that moment, though, where fans of
franchises,
you do have the glimmer of hope.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Those envelopes open, and then when you're and it's those last 3 teams, they're on stage and they're waiting to figure out what order these guys get called in. It's huge. So, kudos to all the teams that didn't make the playoffs this year, who were in the draft lottery. Look, we wish you the best. We hope, because look, in all seriousness, this is how you get better as a franchise. You draft that generational type talent, and those young players who are talented and who are on team-friendly contracts, and you build around that. That is your goal. You strike gold, right? You hope you get the next one. I don't know who that is yet, and the 7-footers, of course, will have a draft preview podcast.
Yeah.
Much later on.
We'll be with you guys throughout the entire draft, summer league, all year round, actually.
And we'll let you know what we're thinking in terms of who the top players are going to be coming out.
Yes.
I mean, obviously the DeAndre Aytons, the Luka Doncic, et cetera, Marvin Bagley's, Wendell Carter's, et cetera.
We'll get you guys
Trey
familiarized.
Young's. We'll get you familiar with all those guys. And we'll see, who we think are going to be the next guys. Because again, as we wrap up, what I think NBA fans are realizing and what you see is, in order to win, ultimately the big goal, which is the championship, you need that dude. Okay?
You need a franchise changer.
You do. And unfortunately in the NBA, those guys don't grow on trees, right? We got 8 of them, maybe 9.
They're like the golden ticket.
Right. And Golden State has 2 of them on their squad, right? So I mean it's very hard to get one of those guys. But if you're lucky and you get one and you can build around it, that's going to change the fortune of your franchise. So draft lottery is next Tuesday. We're excited for that.
Absolutely. And that wraps up the end of Hot Topics for this week. We will see you guys next week in the conference finals. We have the Warriors.
And the Rockets, man.
That's right.
We're excited.
And then we have the Cavs against whoever wins this game behind us. C's or
the Celtics. Who knows? Who knows? Well, look, I honestly think it's probably going to be the Celtics. But we hope the baby Sixers. And right now, look, game's close.
Game's close. We'll see you guys next week for our conference finals recap. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for joining us.